Hey everyone, and thanks for tuning in to AvidMax Tying Tuesdays. Today we're going to show you how to tie the UV Scud. This is a great still water pattern if you tie it in some larger sizes, and it's also a great pattern for rivers if you're going to tie it in a little bit smaller variations. It's not too difficult to tie. There are just a few materials. The first one we're going to use here, the hook, is the C300 BL. This is a great curved shank hook for this pattern. Then we're going to use the uni thread. This is the rust brown. From there, we're going to have a little bit of Scud Back, which is a great material for these. It makes things really nice and easy, having it pre-cut, this 1/8 inch Scud Back material. The next thing we're going to use, the body of our fly here, is going to be a blend of dubbing, the UV Ice Shrimp Pink, and then the Pheasant Tail version, just a little bit of that Pheasant Tail to make it a little bit darker there. We're going to rib our fly with a little bit of this 4X nylon tippet, and then we're going to have a tail on there using this sparkle emerging yarn. This is a great material in substitution of Antron yarn. So the UV Scud, we're going to start out, we're going to add a little bit of lead wire to this. Right in the middle of this fly here. Not only does it add weight, but it also helps add bulk and kind of create the Scud body that we're looking for there, where it's going to be nice and bulky in the middle, just like so. Okay, so once you have that kind of fixed in place there, you could glue it down if you'd like, make it nice and secure, but I'm just going to come in and wrap right over top of it here. So moving around on me a little bit though. So we'll wrap starting in the front, build a little taper up to it. And then we can transition on top of it and secure it down here. Try not to fray your thread like I just did there. We'll go back to the back of it and do the same thing, kind of wrap down, and we'll build a taper, ramp up onto the thread on the back here as well. So not a fly that you have to be too worried about your thread wraps as far as putting too many down, because it is going to be a bit of a bulkier fly, but it's always something to be aware of anyhow. Alright, so once we got our wire secured nicely there, we're going to come in with some of this Hairline Sparkle Emerger yarn. Again, this is a good substitute for Antron yarn in many different situations. I'm just going to clip it kind of neat there. I am going to come back and kind of chop it up a little bit, but to start out, we'll do it nice and neat. Just measure off of the back. And then we can trim off the excess here, make things a little bit easier on ourselves to wrap it down. There we are. So from there, I'm going to tie in my backing material, this Scud Back. Really like the clear, because you can do a lot of different color variations with just the clear. You don't have to match your body color necessarily to your Scud backing, because it's going to show through nicely there. So we'll go back right to where we tied in that tail material, or the legs really, and then we'll come back and just secure that down. So one more material before we start dubbing, and that's our nylon material. This is the 4X. This is our ribbing. And we'll tie that right in the side of the hook here, clip out our excess again. Secure it down. Just make sure we got our taper to the Scud that we like here, kind of bulky in the middle and tapered down on either ends, like so. And then we'll start dubbing. So the dubbing on this one, I'm going to do two different dubs. I have the UV Shrimp Pink here, and then along with it I have a little bit of the UV Pheasant Tail. I'm doing probably close to, let's say it's like an 80-20 blend of the Shrimp Pink to the Pheasant Tail. Just makes it a little bit darker. And all I'm going to do is just blend that in here, hand over hand real quick. So once we got our blend kind of the way we like it there, you can see I have a nice mix of the two dubbings. We can start dubbing it in here. So we're going to do it just off of a simple dubbing loop and work forward, tapering our body in. And I'm using the Loon High Tact wax on this with the UV dubbings. They're real picky, so it's almost necessary to use some sort of dubbing wax along with them to get the doubling noodle that you're looking for. So it's going to be a heavily dubbed fly, but you still want to be cautious of how much you're using. Don't let it get away from you. Okay, so we got our dubbing noodle. Start to wrap that nicely. Just make sure that we're keeping the backing and the ribbing material out of the way as we start to work forward and build the taper of this scud. Okay, so that looks pretty good there. A little bit of room left to pull our scud backing over, which is what we're going to do now. Right on the top here. And I keep it loose initially when I tie it in, because you can pull it tight nice and easily here to where you want it. You don't want it too tight because obviously you want to cover up as much of the top of that body as you can, but you don't want it too loose either with kind of some bevels sticking out on each side. So trim it in and then tie it down. I'm going to trim it. I'm going to pull just slightly. I don't want to pull too hard or it will come out from underneath my thread wraps and get away from you. Not a good time to do that because you've already dubbed a lot and made a lot of progress on this fly. So we're going to do a half hitch here before we go to rib. Just keep everything locked in there real nice. And some of these crazy fibers, we'll deal with those in a second. But we're going to rib our fly. I'm just going to counter wrap from the back. And we'll do this, 4 or 5, maybe 5 or 6 times, depending on what size you're tying. So we'll capture that with our thread. Just like so. Tie it down real snug. And then you can clip out that excess there. And then all we got to do is whip finish a nice little head onto this fly. Cover up that tag in there. There we go. Just like so. And then I'm going to put a little bit of super glue on this to finish it off. I like doing the super glue on it because it kind of gives a little bit of a shiny head there for the scud. The Zap-A-Gap brush on is real handy for it. And then the last thing we're going to do this fly is pull those legs out. There's a couple ways you can do it. You can come in with your dubbing brush. This is the hairline dubbing brush, which I find to be real nice and effective, and just kind of pull things down and out from under some of that ribbing. Get it to stick out. The other thing you can do is grab your bodkin here and just reach in and be careful about where your ribbing is, but just reach in and kind of snag some of those fibers out to get your legs going. That's the great part about this UV dub, is it's so stringy and picky that it really makes a nice looking scud when you're all done here. I'm trying to trim it up here how I like it. Just like so. And then actually one more thing I'm going to do to this is come in on the front and back legs that we tied in and just kind of trim them out. I just don't like them to be cut perfectly even. I think more of a ratty looking tail and legs here gives a more natural look. So what I do is I just come in kind of towards the fly and trim them out a little bit there, kind of make them look a little bit buggier. There we are, that's a finished UV Scud. Very effective fly. Thanks for watching. Be sure to give us a thumbs up and share this video with your friends. If you have a fly you'd like to see us tie in the future, leave us a comment below. For more fly fishing and outdoor related videos, subscribe to the AvidMax YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you out there.
My heart over my mind, I'm not over.